Welcome to part one of a brand new 8-part series produced by White Horse Media, and it's called, as you can see, Body Battles. Protect your health, avoid dying early. I think hopefully we all want to live as long as we can. We don't want to go down to an early grave. We are in a battle with forces outside of us, inside of us, that are working to destroy our health. And so we're going to talk about some of these battles and some of the things that you can do to protect yourself. I'd like to start with the Bible verse in 3 John, verse 2. Beloved, I wish above all things that you may prosper and be in health, even as your soul prospers. We serve, and there is a God in heaven who wants us to be happy, who wants us to be healthy. So we're going to talk about this and try to make this very practical and give you some tools to live longer, to be happier, and to live a much more productive life. My guest is a young man, at least he was young, but he's doing good at the age of 73. His name is Jack McIntosh. He's a friend of mine. He'd come up here from Oregon to Priest River, Idaho. And so Jack will tell people a little more about you, or you can tell them about you. And I mentioned that you're 73, and yet I feel like you are doing good. You told me that you like to walk a lot, you like to work out in the yard, you like to garden, and I think you said you also like to dig holes.
Oh, absolutely. It's good for you.
Yeah, it's good for you.
And wash dishes, too.
Wash dishes, too.
And I do windows.
You do windows?
I do windows, yes.
Well, good for you. I'm sure your wife really likes that.
She does.
And so, that just shows you're still very active at 73.
Makes for marital bliss.
Marital bliss. That's a good state to be in. And, everybody, at least I would think most people would like to be doing as you're doing at the age of 73. So what you're going to do in this series is share with us some of the secrets that you've learned to increase your life, increase your happiness, and help you in the battles of life. So tell us just a little bit about yourself. I know you mentioned to me that you first started giving health talks in 1974. So fill in a few of the gaps there.
Yes. When I was converted in 1974, I immediately became interested in health. Actually, I was interested in health before that, and that was part of my conversion because through healthful living, the Lord cleared up my mind to perceive spiritual things. That frontal lobe of ours is affected by what we do. And the frontal lobe is where we have reason, willpower, reasoning, judgment. All those things are there, and spirituality resides in the frontal lobe, which is why the Lord in the book of Revelation places a seal on the forehead. That's where spirituality resides, and what we do affects that frontal lobe very, very much.
So the frontal lobe being the front of your brain.
The front of the brain, yes.
It's the command center.
Command center, where we make decisions about where we will spend eternity. And so I became interested in health. My first health program was actually a 5-day plan to stop smoking. And back in those days, lots of people were interested in stopping smoking, smoking cessation. And the first lecture I attended or gave, there were 148 people in the audience. Today, if you do a stop smoking program, you may get 3 people.
Why is that?
And reason for that is that just about everybody who really is going to stop smoking has already stopped smoking. And most of the people who are smoking now are hardcore, basically, and they know that they shouldn't be smoking, but they smoke anyway. So that's why we don't get very many people anymore. But that program was very successful. We ran another one at Buffalo General Hospital, and we had something like maybe 100 or 110. And from there, my health career was launched. I went back to school later on, got a degree in health science, taught health science at Weimar College. And over the years, I've been doing church health programs. I have a program on my website called Reversing Diabesity, which is designed to help people to overcome insulin resistance, which is the basis for type 2 diabetes. So I've been doing lots of health programs and counseling over time.
And you've been on 3ABN television, 3ABN radio.
Starting in 1995, yes, I received an invitation to come to Three Angels Broadcasting and do some work there. And that lasted for several years. So I've continued to do health education work over the course of the last 45 years.
So you are a health educator, and you also call yourself a lifestyle interventionist. And what exactly does that mean?
Well, when people want to make changes in their lifestyle habits, my role is to counsel them and facilitate and coach them. The intervention, of course, is what the person does. What I do is coach them to do the intervention so that the intervention becomes doable and easier. Many people don't really use the resources, for instance, that are available to them. They want to start an exercise program, but they're not, for instance, using the timer on their cell phones to set a time to walk. Because what I've discovered over the years is if you don't set a time, what will happen is you will walk on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and maybe Thursday, skip a day and walk 2 more days. And by the time you get to 3 weeks from then, you're not walking at all because you haven't set a time. It hasn't become a habit. So the cell phone is useful. So I help people to facilitate the intervention. And it works when you have somebody who's coaching you and helping you and troubleshooting what you're doing.
So you're a health coach that
Essentially.
that takes people by the hand and helps them step by step
to
make changes in their lifestyle to help them to overcome bad habits, the temptations of the body, the temptations of the flesh that we all encounter. You bring it right down to the grassroots level.
The practical things they can do to actually make the change and to be successful because, habits of a lifetime, everybody knows they're not easy to break, and you have to substitute something else for those habits. There's a wonderful text in the book of Romans that says, "Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good." You have to put something good in place of what's not so good in order to be successful. So that's what I do.
Got it. Well, I'm very interested in health as well. I'm not quite as old as you are. I'm pushing 62, but I'm a jogger. I don't jog very fast, but I walk and I run. And when I travel, I try to swim in hotels as much as I can and get my laps in the pool. And I try to eat good food and drink water and work out in my yard and a whole host of other things. And so this is a topic that is very dear to my heart as well. I've been through my body battles for many years. And
it is a battle, isn't it?
It is. It's a battle. And anybody that's watching this knows this. So we hope that these 8 parts, this series, will help people to learn truths that are practical and that will help them in their lives, and then to also point them to the source of strength where they can, find that power to help themselves to make good decisions.
Yes, because God, our Creator, as you read before, intends for us to be healthy. Beloved, I wish above all things that you may prosper and be in health, even as your soul prospers. So that's a part of His plan for our lives, for us to be healthy and vibrant and successful.
That's right. Okay, well, so this first program, we're calling this Biblical Health Secrets. So this is number 1, Biblical Health Secrets. And Jack, you've got a number of slides there, which some of them we'll be putting on the screen for people to look at. So why don't we just start
Sure.
Where you want to go in this first program, and just take us through the different points that you want to make, that you want those who are watching to understand.
Sure. Well, guess where we start? We start in the beginning.
Yes.
And in the beginning, we find in Genesis chapter 1, verse 26, it says, "Then God said, let us make man in our image, and according to our likeness, let him have dominion over the creation," basically. And then it says in verse 29, it says, "And God said, I have given you every herb that yields seed," keep in mind that word, seed, "which is on the face of all the earth, and every tree whose fruit yields seed. To you it shall be for food. Now, right there in the beginning, God gave to man the fuel source, if you will, for the human body. And the fuel source is what I like to call the Eden diet. Today we call it the plant-based diet. But it is a diet. Don't forget that before the problem of sin entered, man was not permitted to kill an animal. So this is the ideal. This is the sinless diet, if you will, before sin entered. And it turns out that all of the research today shows us that the plant-based diet, the Eden diet, is the diet that will reverse heart disease. It will help to reverse hypertension and diabetes and most of the chronic diseases that we face today. Cancer, for instance, responds to that plant-based diet, Eden diet. And so that fuel source is critical for us to understand that this is how the Creator, who wants us to be healthy, has advised us to do. You know, we all have cars, but if you're driving just a regular gasoline car, you're not going to go down to the station and put some diesel in it. That would be very foolish. You would have a car that wouldn't run right. I'm afraid that many of us are putting diesel fuel in. And that diesel fuel can be seen when we eat the refined carbohydrates, when we use a lot of animal products and so on. That essentially is diesel fuel, but it's not what the Creator intended in the beginning.
Okay,
so that diet is critical to us for our prosperity and our health.
So as far as biblical health secrets, you're taking us, first of all, back to the beginning of the Bible and showing us that we've come from God. We're here. We didn't evolve. We didn't come from monkeys, which is what many people believe, but we actually have a Creator who made us and who has also given us a dietary plan in the Garden of Eden, which really science has shown, research has shown today that it's really optimal, what's best for the human body.
Yes, and if you look at the language that God uses, it says, I'm going to make man in our image, that means we look like him, and in our likeness, which means we had his character. And in order to protect that image, the body, and the character, the likeness of God, that fuel supply was given so that the health of the body would be protected. And everything we see around us in terms of the research that's going on points to that original fuel source, that original Eden diet, as I like to call it.
Yeah. And the reason why only a few people would come to your Stop Smoking seminar these days, and the reason why we're in such a mess that this world is in with health problems and all the things that you mentioned, diabetes, cancer, heart disease, etc., is because we live in a fallen world, because our world has fallen away from our Creator and His original plan.
The blueprint, if you will. We've failed to follow the blueprint. It's like building a house and ignoring the blueprint, and the walls fall down later on, and we didn't follow the codes, the building codes.
Yeah, and so what we're trying to do is to get back. We're not going to get completely back because in the bodies that we have now, we have to wait until the big day comes in the future when God gives us new bodies. But until that time comes, there's a lot of things that we can do in the midst of the battles that we're in to protect ourselves and to avoid dying early and to live longer, to be healthier, to be happier. And that's why you're here, to talk about these things.
Yes, to facilitate winning that battle.
Yeah, that's right, winning that battle. So all right, what's next on your list? Created for God's glory. You mentioned that to me.
Yes.
That part of the battle has to do with the restoration of the basic truth that we're here to reveal God's character in
His
our
glory.
lives.
The Bible doesn't use the word character, but it does use the word glory. Mm-hmm. When Moses asked to see God's glory, God described himself in terms of his character, merciful, kind, loving, forgiving, all of that. So glory is a character word. And the prophet Isaiah, who is often referred to as the gospel prophet, said something in chapter 43 that is very, very significant. it's actually a quotation from the Creator himself. He says, "Bring my sons from afar, and my daughters from the ends of the earth, everyone who is called by my name, whom I have created for my glory." In other words, this likeness of God that we talked about, this likeness to Him in terms of His love and mercy and compassion and all those things, we were created for that, to reflect that character. I have formed him, yes, I have made him. And it's no wonder that this original purpose in man's creation is also reflected in the last book of the Bible, and that is Revelation, where it says, "Fear God and give glory to him." In other words, reflect the character of God, the love, the kindness, the forgiveness, and so on. So the purpose of God in creating man was for us to be like him, the likeness of God. And that's a very important concept in the Bible in terms of the restoration of the human body and the human mind, the human spirit.
Okay, and our health as well.
Yes.
Understanding that. Now, I can see that our time is moving rapidly. So why don't you just walk us through some of the main points that you want to make in Program 1 that are some of the secrets that people need to know?
Well, the very next one is one that has to do with the balance in the human body. You know, we eat, and that is energy input. And we walk, or we do things with our hands, we build whatever, or we draw, or we paint, or whatever we do. That's energy output. And in the body, there needs to be a balance between that energy input and that energy output. And we find that principle where else but in the very first book of the Bible, Genesis. And notice what it says in chapter 3 and verses 18 and 19. Now, this is after the sin problem enters, and the Lord says to Adam, "Cursed is the ground for your sake. In toil you shall eat of it." So he introduces work there in a new way. All the days of your life, both thorns and thistles it shall bring forth for you. And you shall eat the herb of the field. Now, that's a little bit of nuance, a change in the diet. The green plants, broccoli is green. We consume the plant, whereas before we were consuming the fruit of the plant. But now we're consuming plants itself. And broccoli, it turns out, is very important for fixing the disease problem. So we have a change in the diet. But now we come to this balance concept. The Lord says to Adam, "In the sweat of your face you shall eat bread till you return to the ground." Now, I read that for years and I didn't quite understand, but as I studied physiology, it began to dawn on me that what we're really talking about here are two concepts: energy input, which is eating, and energy output, which is the sweat of your brow. Okay. And what's really being communicated here, at least one of the things that's being communicated, is that energy input, eating, must be balanced by energy output, which is perspiration or working, right? Those two things have to be balanced. If they're not balanced, what happens is things like insulin resistance in the human body, where the muscles are not being used, and so the insulin receptors disappear on the cell, the blood sugar gradually begins to rise, and the person becomes insulin resistant, and then pre-diabetic, and then finally the blood sugar gets to 126 and the doctor says, "Oh, you're diabetic." Well, they were working on that all those years when they were in those various phases of insulin resistance. When we don't have enough physical activity and we're just putting in energy all the time.
In the form of food.
In the form of food.
And a lot of it's not even healthy food.
Yes,
all
exactly.
Kinds of food.
The refined carbohydrates, the high fructose corn syrup drinks that do so much to create high blood pressure. Uric acid blocks the production of nitric oxide, and so your blood pressure rises over time. All those things are detrimental to the human body when we just take in energy, and especially refined carbohydrates, and we're not being physically active. So that concept of the balance of energy is really critical in maintaining human health.
So when we take too much in and we're not, walking or exercising or doing anything, then we're going to have problems.
Yes.
We're losing the body battle.
Yes, and
trouble.
insulin resistance is one of the primary things that happens when we are not physically active and we are just taking in energy and not balancing it with energy output.
Yeah, I thought that was really insightful. I've read this verse many times. In the sweat of your face you shall eat bread, but I never saw the connection that we eat the bread and we need to sweat in order to make sure that we're having that balance.
And I never saw it until I really started to study anatomy and physiology, and I began to realize, hey, you know what? There's a principle here of energy balance, that creates a kind of what in technical terms they call it homeostasis. That balance is critical. The whole body functions. There are hormones that balance one another in the human body, and so that balance is part of how we stay healthy.
So, and later on in the series, we're going to talk more about exercise,
Yes.
more about the kind of food to eat and the kind of food to avoid.
We have a whole program on the Eden diet and the benefits of the Eden diet. We have another one called 40 Reasons to Exercise. So we'll be doing that program a little bit later also.
Okay, well, why don't you share one more of your slides, one of your main principles, and then we'll wind
the last
this up
one,
and then get ready for the next program.
Yes. The last one I would like to share is something that comes from the book of Isaiah. And it has to do with how we relate to other people. So I'm just going to read something for you from the book of Isaiah, chapter 58 and verses 6 to 9. And it says, okay. Is this not the fast that I've chosen to loose the bonds of wickedness, to undo the heavy burdens, to let the oppressed go free, and that you break every yoke? Now notice, is it not to share your bread with the hungry? It doesn't say the government's bread, by the way. It says your bread. And that you bring to your house the poor who are cast out. When you see the naked, that you cover him and not hide yourself from your own flesh. Then your light shall break forth like the morning. That's banishment of darkness and depression. And notice what it says next. Your healing shall spring forth speedily. Apparently, God has made it a rule of health that when you disturb yourself and come out of your zone and you help others, that there is a blessing upon the giver. In fact, Jesus said it best. He said, it is more blessed to give than to receive. The recipient of the gift gets a blessing, to be sure, but God has reserved the larger blessing for the giver. And that is something that people need to realize, that benevolence, that getting out of your comfort zone and doing something for others because of your compassion and love for them, that is a blessing to you. And it turns out that your health is connected, because it says your health will spring forth speedily. It even goes further. It says your righteousness shall go before you. And notice the next word, the glory of the Lord shall be your rear guard. Nobody's going to blindside you from behind, because God promises to protect you from behind if you are benevolent. And he promises to heal you if you are benevolent. In other words, it is a consequence of your reaching out to others to satisfy their needs. So this is a wonderful principle that everyone should be aware of, that benevolence, in fact, is connected to our health.
So sitting around's not good for us when we don't do something. Did you mention some time ago, as we were talking outside this program, you talked about sitting? What was that line you used?
Yes, that sitting is the new smoking. We're going to talk about that.
Right. So we need to be not just eating and sitting. We need to be active, so we'll have that balance. And then as we are active, we need to be involved in not just doing things only for ourselves. We need to be doing things for others, which, we need to get out of our self-focus and start focusing on helping people around us in whatever way we can. And you're showing us in the Bible that if we do that, this will affect our health. We'll feel better about ourselves. Our bodies will work better somehow because we're more in harmony with the Creator's plan, and He's always giving to us all the time.
All the time giving to us. And it glorifies God. It says that specific, that the glory of the Lord will be your rear guard, will protect you, will be around you. The likeness of Christ will be a glow around you to protect you from your enemies. So
Wow.
this has wonderful implications for not only health, but happiness.
Okay, well, I think you've got a lot more to share with us. This is just one down. There were other things we wanted to get to, but we didn't get to. Time just has a way of rolling on quickly.
Sure.
But we've got quite a bit more that we'll be going into. We have 7 more programs with Jack McIntosh. We'll be looking at our Bibles. We'll be looking at health secrets to win the battle. We're all in a war. We're all struggling with different things, and we need strength to be able to win this fight, to protect our bodies, protect our health, be more useful, live longer, be happier, so that we don't go down to the grave before our time. So stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching. We'll be back soon.
We hope you have enjoyed this episode of Body Battles. Before you go, these health resources are available from White Horse Media. First, our book, End Times Health War, which is loaded with life-changing information about the secrets of health, plus how you can supercharge your health by adding sprouts to your diet and by drinking organic fresh juices. If you would rather read smaller books, we have the same information in these little pocketbooks: Fabulous Health Made Simple, Surviving Toxic Terrorism, Juice Your Way to Fabulous Health, and Sprout Power. You may also be interested in these other wonderful pocketbooks: Help for the Hopeless and Secrets of Inner Peace. They're all short, easy to read, and easy to share. They are all available from White Horse Media.
We hope you've been blessed by this White Horse Media production. To support White Horse Media, please call us at 1-800-78-BIBLE. That's 1-800-782-4253. You may also send your donations by mail to White Horse Media, P.O. Box 130, Priest River, Idaho 83856, or donate online at whitehorsemedia.com.
Wait, before you go, and you know what I'm going to say, if you enjoyed this message, please like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. To hear more messages, check out our other videos. Have a blessed day.